I don't know. I think getting two-shot by a boss because I missed the timing is annoying, not engaging. I mean, there's multiple different things with that. One is that that's one aspect. Missing timing is like one thing that you could potentially fuck up. Two is that typically, unless it's a boss that you're very underleveled for, you're probably not going to get two-shot by most bosses, like immediately, like you just immediately die with nothing else, unless your positioning is poor, because again, to me, well, not to me, positioning is just very important in Souls games. And then you can also fuck up positioning, because timing isn't necessarily the biggest deal if you're positioning well, right? If you're like just far enough away from a boss, you can like attack and oftentimes still roll away before they can even attack you in the first place. I would say Souls games aren't, I wouldn't say forgiving in that aspect, but at least the more that you practice and the more that you know what you're doing, it kind of helps you more in that regard. But I would argue, and then on top of that, of course you have Estus flasks, right? Which is the big deal with being able to like roll away and everything. Because even if you do get hit, roll away, use an Estus flask, heal up, simple as. Yeah. And I would say that it's kind of similar in Hollow Knight, right? Like, I haven't gotten two-shot by anything, and typically it's like one hit and not a multitude of hits, so I have like a little bit more time to like back off and like heal and stuff like that. But bosses like press the advantage on you and stuff, so you can't necessarily just heal for free. But point being is just that like in something like Souls, the way that you're getting punished, like if you are getting like two-shot by a boss, it sounds like you're fucking up both timing and positioning, right? So there's like a multitude of skills that you have to get better at in order. Oh, the bench is right here. I'm stupid. There's a multitude of skills that you have to get better at in order to not just like die to a boss in a stupid way. Whereas again, in Hollow Knight, it kind of feels like it's more, you get like a lot more chances, I guess. You don't have to be like nearly as like perfect at fighting the thing. Not like Hollow Knight, not like Hollow Knight's combat is bad. It's just, to me, not nearly as, it doesn't require as much personal skill gaining to like get good at it. Granted, I have beat Rondo of Blood, and that's probably the second hardest platformer I've ever played. So. Oh, here's a boss. There's just a lot of enemies. Question mark. It's like a Beyblade. These guys are awesome. Oh, so I gotta fight multiple of them. Fuck. Okay. They're cool, though. I do agree. Alright. And I got fucked. Okay. Nice, nice. Okay. Alright, I guess. I could have jumped. I could have jumped. This boss feels a little bit stupid, but fair enough. I don't need strats. I can beat it. I'll beat it. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just complaining. I'm a professional game complainer after all. Like, it's not hard. It's just the fact that it feels relatively unpredictable to me makes me not want to try as hard. That's my form of getting tilted. I just don't really care to try as hard. I almost beat it. Like, clearly I can do it, like, fairly easily, but okay. We'll get fucked, dumbass. Okay, 2 HP. Yeah, I don't. See, there, I don't know if I could have gotten through their jump patterns and the roll. Maybe I could have. Maybe. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Like, I can, like, see that the attacks start off differently depending on if they're properly rolling or... Yeah, this boss fight's stupid. This boss fight's dumb. It's these... At least if there's, like, strategy to it, like with Lost Kin, where it clearly feels like I'm just doing something wrong, it feels better. But this is the type of thing that I just don't even care to try for. Otherwise, I'm going to get actually mad for no reason. The only reason that I keep going into corners is so that I can heal. I don't think I can heal in the middle of the stage, can I? Unless he's doing that. was that death already? I thought I had 1 more HP at least. Twice as many options to move. Fair enough. I guess I'm just not supposed to heal then? You don't have to heal as much if you don't get hit as much. True, but I feel like this is a good example of why I feel like FromSoft is better in a lot of these respects. Because there's a lot of games that have, and I'm not just talking to you in particular, I'm just talking in general kind of about this. FromSoft games, because this game clearly is kind of trying to go for like a FromSoft like gameplay feel kind of thing. FromSoft games allow you to use kind of all of their mechanics in pretty much every single fight in any way that you want to. That can be a small amount of mechanics in something like Sekiro. It can be a fuck ton of mechanics in something like Elden Ring. Something like Elden Ring, because it has to account for so many mechanics, ends up being easier. Something like Sekiro ends up being harder. But the thing that's nice is that you can heal in like every single fight. You can zerg down bosses. You can take longer. You can focus on positioning. You can focus on timing. Like all these sorts of things. These sorts of games don't really feel as perfectly well crafted in that combat respect, where it's basically like, well, just don't get hit, right? Which is true, just don't get hit. But also if the heal's there, surely I should be able to use it in a boss fight. Now maybe the game is balanced in such a way where I shouldn't have to use it during the boss fights, but then why is it there? To me that feels less satisfying, right? I can get better and I can continuously grind at bosses until I don't get hit and then I don't have to heal anymore. But at the same time, it doesn't really make sense to me why the game can't account for a way to allow me to heal during combat. That to me just sounds weird. It's a boss fight. The mechanic's there. Why not use it? It just seems less satisfying. Unless you're going to have like a particular boss fight where maybe you kind of disable it for a given reason or it becomes significantly harder. I can understand that. But in this context, it just sounds... It's not bad. It's just less satisfying, essentially. It's the type of thing that I would kind of... in my own mental ranking system that I would knock a game down like at least a little bit for. Or rating system, I guess, not ranking system, whatever. Plus, it's like, if this is a strategy where I can kind of just like Zerg rush this guy down like that to get him out of the way before the next one spawns and then just heal in the corner, like, why wouldn't I do that? You know what I mean? Nice. The more time you spend running into a corner, the longer overall it takes you to heal, so you're effectively not only making healing take longer, you're also putting yourself in a worse position for doing it instead of learning when you can heal. Except for the fact that it seems like you can always only heal once anyway. In the vast majority of fights, you're not really getting an opportunity to heal more than once, and it seems like whether or not you run to a corner to heal once, or heal in the middle of the stage, you're still only healing once with about the same chance of getting hit. And especially during this fight where it seems less predictable, their patterns of rolling around and jumping around like that sort of thing. Or maybe there's some like ultra super timed up way to where you can like perfectly always time a heal such that you never take any damage, and where maybe you can even heal like twice. Which, fair enough, but... It seems like if that is the case, it isn't something that you could reasonably learn towards the beginning of like the playthrough, I guess. Even though that seems like a skill that would be like relatively useful to learn. Yeah, like that pattern specifically right there, I don't know what I would have done to have avoided that. It seemed like I was kind of fucked no matter what, and he comes off screen. I think that's another thing that's annoying, is that it sounds like with the sound, there's no real way to like predict which role they're going to have when they come off screen. So it's just another thing that's just a complete unknown. You just kind of gotta guess. And you can react to it potentially, but souls are used for things than just healing though. Something I guess is only used for healing, so this effect becomes just extra hits that you have to think about to get. Well, it seems like you're thinking of spending souls just to heal and then complaining you can't use it while ignoring the other systems. Again, another big advantage that FromSoft has. I don't have to engage with any system if I don't want to. I don't have to attack. I don't have to heal. I don't have to use magic. Like, I do get what you're saying, but at the same time, I thought that one of the advantages of this game was the builds. Like, it's not to say that you can ignore other mechanics, but if I want to play combat, I can play combat. That was my understanding. If I want to play magic, I can play magic. If I want to play a mix, I can play a mix. And granted, it might be the kind of game that's balanced to where you are kind of supposed to use each one more. But to me, that's another big advantage of Souls games. I get to decide how I play it. Not forced into one way by the game. Yeah, I don't see with that one, because I was running away. I was in the middle of the stage. I don't think I could have dodged that. One heal. Okay, that I can dodge, because that was a good pattern. Oops. Yeah, that one I don't know if I could have dodged. Maybe I just started off on the wrong foot, and that was the issue. Nice. Time to jump wrong. Fair enough. Just feels boring. This is one of those things where, like, yes, I could lock in. But why? But why? But why would I? Nice. Some builds might focus on spells more on Hollow Knight, but you always have to access to them all in Souls. Depending on your status, you might just don't have spells, the ones that are available are just actually less optional, so you have no reason to use them. While spells in this are more like a system mechanic in fighting game. Of course, you can choose to never die and burst and die to any combo, but, like, I don't know, it's like more engaging to use mechanics available to you. That's why weapon arts exist in Elden Ring. That's why weapon arts exist in Dark Souls 3. That's why weapon arts... Well, weapon arts aren't in Dark Souls 1 or 2. But there are, like, special effects that you can get on weapons and stuff, so... There are definitely ways to access things akin to spells. You don't necessarily have to have spells themselves. A lot of the time they end up doing very similar things at the end of the day anyway. You said weapon arts are cool? Well, if weapon arts are cool, then the other point that you just made isn't correct. Simple as. Souls does have that, actually. You can do a multifaceted build. Okay, then why can't you think of spells in this game as weapon arts? I don't use weapon arts in Elden Ring. I am like a fucking melee-only memer in a lot of those games. That's why I'm playing this the way that I am now. Now, granted, maybe this game doesn't work like that. That's not necessarily a bad thing, mind you. I'm not saying that every single game has to be like that. It's just that it feels like this game is definitely missing some balancing stuff by not allowing for that. I think games that make you engage with those mechanics are better than letting you just never use them while in the game if they don't want you to use them. So then why can't I heal whenever I want, cat? Point doesn't even make sense. It's not about engaging or not engaging with mechanics. It's about engaging or not engaging with mechanics when you do or don't want to. Like, there's a ton of fights in Souls games that are a lot easier if you use spells. Like, a lot of people memed hardcore when Elden Ring first came out, especially that spell builds were, like, ridiculously OP. I played a spell build the first time around. Maybe that was true. I didn't necessarily feel like that was true, but there are definitely fights that are easier with that. Like, I think Elden Beast, to an extent, was easier with it. And there are definitely fights that are a lot easier with melee. I think that they didn't fully balance for spells all that well in Elden Ring. And so... It's definitely a thing. It's just there's multiple different ways to do the thing. Just explaining your point of view. Well, then it doesn't matter if you think it's lame, because we're critiquing the game, not my playstyle. There's a difference between a playstyle and the way that the game encourages you to do things based on how it's balanced. Souls games encourage you to experiment with a lot of different ways to play the game. It encourages you to change up the way that you play the game if something is or isn't interesting to you, but in total it allows you to play any way that you want to. You don't have to use a ton of mechanics because they're not necessarily there for you to use all of them at the same time. It's also why repeat playthroughs are nice of Souls games, because you can just do a bunch of different character builds. Hollow Knight, it feels like, is a little bit simpler, simply in the sense that there are mechanics. It's more just all of the mechanics you can engage with. And then some fights are balanced better with it than other ones. Which is still fair. That's not a bad thing. There are games that can be balanced incredibly well in that way. And I have felt so far like every other combat encounter, boss fight, everything like that has been perfectly fine up until this point. It's just this boss is Not that good. Simple as. I just don't. I just feel like this boss isn't like ridiculously hard, and I probably could beat it faster if I like locked in. I already got to like one of the boss memers left before I died in a stupid way, right? Like I probably could do it. I just want to do it in a lazy way because if I lock in on a boss fight that I already think is stupid, I'm just gonna end up getting tilted, and I just don't want to get tilted. That's all it is.